Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is a special pillow talk because we're actually not against our pillows. We're actually in the car, and we are we're headed to Detroit for the Black Wealth Builders Summit. You can learn more about that at boycewatkins.com. Since I'm actually on the move, every now and then, if it's okay, I'm going to do an audio check to make sure you guys can hear us okay. So do us a favor, and hey, William and Jarika, give us a yes. If everybody can answer, give us a yes if you can hear us okay. Yes, if you can hear us in the chat. I want to make sure that the audio is coming through all right because we are on the move, and I want to make sure that we don't mess it up. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Shout out the city that you're from. Let us know what city you're coming from, and also I want to say hi to my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
Um, I woke up this morning in a good mood, but now not so much. How are you doing?
You're in a bad mood. Why?
I'm kind of in a good. I think it's important. Like listening is so important, and that would definitely put me in a better mood. How about that, boys?
Ooh. Oh, well, she's mad at me today. Ooh, we had a debate. She don't like when I challenge that thinking. It bothers you, don't it?
Yeah, but I think listening is important before you challenge. Before you challenge someone, listening is important. So how
Okay.
about that?
So what she's basically saying is that Boyce is getting on my nerves today, and I'm going to hold it in because we're live on the internet right now. So what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? So let me ask y'all this. On my Instagram page, my Instagram's the Real Boyce Watkins. I posted a video of Will Smith apologizing to Chris Rock, apologizing to Chris's mother, apologizing to Chris's brother Tony. How many of you saw that apology? Give me a yes or no if you saw Will Smith's apology. A lot of people are talking about it. I didn't know it had been 3 months since the slap. Did you know that?
It felt like much longer than that. I feel like he was gone much longer. What do you think?
I thought it was shorter.
Oh,
I feel
really?
like it happened last month or 2 weeks ago. Like I don't know. I mean, I know it didn't, but I was like, wow, 3 months.
So it was. I know when it happened in March. I'll never forget the day in March.
It was March, and it's July. Holy
Yeah,
crap,
yeah.
that's crazy. Okay, so what I did was I actually pulled up the video, and I'm gonna play the video of Will Smith and his apology because I think everybody should hear from Will directly. And as I played the video, first of all, if you could hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. You're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, where my therapist's wife and my wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. I am a finance PhD, and we talk about love and money and everything in between. So give us a yes when I start playing the audio to let me know you can hear it. Just kind of say I can hear it loud and clear. That way it comes through okay. So let's hear what Will Smith has to say with his apology.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I saw an interview that Chris's mother did, and that was one of the things about that moment. I just didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment. So I want to apologize to Chris's mother. I want to apologize to Chris's family, specifically Tony Rock. We had a great relationship. You know, Tony Rock was my man. And this is probably irreparable. I spent the last 3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment. And I'm not going to try to unpack all of that right now, but I can say to all of you, there is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks that's the optimal way to handle a feeling of disrespect or insults. After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, you know, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, babe. I'm going to say sorry to my kids and my family for the heat that I brought on all of us. To all my fellow nominees, you know, this is a community. It's like I won because you voted for me. And it really breaks my heart to have stolen and tarnished your moment. I can still see Questlove's eyes. You know, it happened on Questlove's award, and you know, it's like I'm sorry really isn't sufficient. What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down? So there's two things. One, disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. So it hurts. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. And the work I'm trying to do is I am deeply remorseful, and I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human, and I made a mistake, and I'm trying not to think of myself as a piece of shit. So I would say to those people, I know it was confusing. I know it was shocking. But I promise you, I am deeply devoted and committed to putting light and love and joy into the world. And, you know, if you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
All right. So, did everybody get a chance to hear everything Will said? Let us know if you heard it. Okay. All right. So, let's start with a simple question. I'm going to ask you to give me a one-word answer to this question. I want everybody to answer this question for me. Do you think that the apology was real or that it was fake? Everybody type real or fake in the chat to let me know what you think about the apology. Do you think it was real? Do you think he really meant it? He was sincere? Or do you think it was a bunch of BS? Everybody put real or fake in the chat. Let us know what you think. All right. So I see a lot of reels coming up. I see a ton of reels coming up. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's say you, Dr. Alicia. What did you think about the apology? What was your first impression?
Yeah, it seemed to be, well, Will Smith, more than anything, he's not somebody that's going to mince words or lie. So I think that every time he speaks, even when he did the slap at the Oscars, that came from a real place. It wasn't like he's covering
Keep
it.
my wife's name out your bloody mouth. That
Yeah,
that was that was
that came from a real.
that wasn't the Fresh Prince talking. That wasn't the Fresh Prince. That was Suge Knight.
Yeah, so that was a real place. I think so even when I saw the apology, that's a real place. That's a real place. Like I think it was very sincere. I think that he'd been thinking about it for some time. And I love just even the idea of forgiveness. Like Chris Rock doesn't even really need to respond. Chris Rock doesn't even really need to do anything. Forgiveness is not about having acceptance from the other person. Forgiveness is just being able to put it out there, saying I forgive. Hopefully, he forgives himself for what he feels like he did that he should not have done. So hopefully, it comes from a place of where he feels just guilty for what he did instead of ashamed. What do you think, Boyce?
What's interesting to me is as I listen to Will speak, I agree. I mean, either he is just he deserves another Oscar for like best actor.
It could be
Like
another
I mean, remember
performance.
we're talking about a guy who just won the Oscar for best actor, right? So technically, according to these awards created by white people, he is the best actor in Hollywood, right? So my thought is either he just won another best actor award with this video, or he was being real, and I really liked it, but here's the thing: I've always liked Will Smith. I never stopped liking him even after the slap. I never stopped.
Oh yeah.
I've always believed in him. And I've had a little bit of a different experience, I guess, because I know a lot of people in Philly that know Will, and also I've watched him for many years. I admire his courage and his tenacity, and also I spent like hours talking to his brother, who looks just like him, his brother Harry, and I remember walking away thinking, I'm so impressed with this family. Harry is he's a financial guy, just like me. He managed a lot of Will's finances, I guess, during when he was making money from different movies and whatever. And so we're both financial guys. So we talked for hours, and I remember walking away with tremendous admiration for the family, because I know the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I believe Will Smith comes from tremendous, tremendous stock. By the way, I'm gonna ask y'all a little trivia. How many of y'all can quickly give Will Smith's real name? How many of y'all know Will Smith's full actual name? He wasn't born Will Smith. Did you know that?
No, what's his name? Tell us.
I think it's like Willard Carroll Smith Jr.
Oh, so he's a Will Smith. I
Yeah,
mean, Will is short for Willard, not William.
yeah, it's Willard. Come here, Willard.
Is he?
Willard Carroll Smith. Clean your room right now. You know how your mama will give you, like, your mama will say your whole full name and she's mad at you.
Yeah, I mean, is he from the South? That's Willard sound like a country name or something.
You think it sounds country?
I don't know. He's from Philly. I don't know. I don't know. Willard?
Well, you know what?
Wilbert? I don't know.
Well, Wilbert. Well, that would be even worse. Well, you know what? So Will Smith. I'm gonna just say this. I'm rooting for him, man. I mean, I really felt like I couldn't understand what was happening, and when I heard him say that in the moments after the slap, that it was like a blur when he went up on
Mhm.
stage, that worried me a little bit, because that makes me think about, like, okay, what was your mental health in that moment? What is your mental health overall? It almost sounds like a drug or alcohol kind of binge. It's not to say that any of those things were involved, but it's like it was a blur. Like you weren't, because I mean, to me, if you're gonna destroy your whole career, like build, the $1 billion career that you spent 30 years cultivating very carefully, it seems like you want to think that through. That should be premeditated. I don't know. What do you think?
The blur. So he totally disassociated himself from the whole experience. I bet he had like an out of body experience.
Mm.
And because there was video of him after the slap, he's dancing with his Oscar. He's having a good time, and everybody's dancing with him. So everybody was kind of caught up in the moment, and it wasn't until it all kind of settled down that all of this sort of anger came out, not toward him but toward Jada. Everybody hated Jada afterwards, and I think like that's something for Jada to kind of think about. Like, it was almost like, sorry, Will Smith, you're going through all these issues. I got a red table talk I got a career that I got to keep doing in my red table talk new season is coming up. Peace, see you later. I got to keep my career going. So she came off more, I thought, as the receiving end of a lot of hate and anger from people, because of she came across to a lot of people as being cold and kind of like detached. So both of them got detached. She was detached from the experience and went on with her life. He became, clearly from his words, detached from the whole experience. Seemed like he kind of disassociated. And that's what people do when things happen and it's too overwhelming and you just can't deal with it. The way your body responds, I mean, your body responds in the way psychologically where to keep you alive. And sometimes if it's overwhelming and if it's traumatic or whatever, you just kind of cut yourself off from the experience altogether in order to preserve the body and your mental health.
Wow. Well, everybody, in case you don't know, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. So she's an expert on the human mind as well as relationships. She sees a lot of couples. And also, if you'd like to get some free information from us on any issue related to love and money and everything in between, feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. You can get a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, and also you can learn more about what Dr. Alicia does as a relationship therapist. Now, with that being said, I want to propose something. I think that we should do our pillow talk on a red table.
Well, you got red pants on. How about that?
There we go. You know, I was gonna be on the red table talk actually with Ice Cube.
Yeah, it just didn't pan out, did it?
Yeah, well, they interviewed.
It wasn't meant to be, Boyce.
Well, I think it was a conspiracy. They interviewed me right after I got my dental surgery, and at that point I was talking like Sylvester the Cat, and every word I had a gallon of spit that came out with it. And the producer was like, "Okay, we're gonna get Van Jones instead.
Van Jones?
He's legit. He's mainstream. You suck."
But
yeah,
Van Jones wasn't on board with anything Ice Cube had to say.
So well, you know what?
Put tension there, or?
Well, Van Jones is a great activist in his own right. We're different, like I'm not into the whole Democrat Republican thing, but I respect Van. I think Van's a smart guy.
Okay, so it just wasn't meant to be, Boyce.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be on that red
It was
table.
before the slap. Well, I tell you, I would like to have gone on there after the slap. Because I would have slapped Will. I'd have been like, dude, what are you doing?
No. Stop.
Okay, I wouldn't.
I'm not gonna.
I wouldn't have slapped him. It would have been a night. It'd have been a friendly. Well, listen. But let me explain. Let me explain. Okay, let me explain. All right, you ready? Let me explain. Look, here's my thing. Okay, I have told you I'm a fan of Will. I support Will. I root for him. His family's brilliant guy. I love him. But when I see the apology, I'm confused. Because to me, that you doing something like that and then coming back with an apology that just says, look, I made a horrible mistake, I just lost it and I was upset and that ain't the Will Smith I know.
What should he have done?
No, but listen.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying the apology was inappropriate. Yeah, you messed up. If you feel like you messed up, then yes, you need to apologize. You need to be sincere. He did everything right. He hit every he checked every box. But I think I'm the guy who would go back and say, well, if you're going to go back and have to reverse everything you did, why did you do it in the first place? What was going on that led you to make such an incredibly unstrategic decision with your career? That slap probably cost Will, I call it the $100 million slap because it probably cost him at least $100 million. It probably cost him more like $250 million. No. Like I bet you if there are companies, there are companies out there that can assess what your brand value is, like the economic value of your brand. And I bet you that he lost $250 million or more in his brand value because white people around the world, let's just be clear, Hollywood, they sell this shit to white people. They saw him as a typical ignorant ass violent black man. Now if that's who you're gonna be, then that's cool. I don't know. If you're Charles Barkley, or even Samuel L. Jackson, maybe that works for you. But it didn't work for Will Smith because he's the happy guy that's spreading love and joy throughout the world. And they're like, damn, I feel like Chris Rock just got slapped by a Disney character.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I'm listening to you. But I would have to disagree because Will Smith has spent his entire life being basically flawless. His whole entire background has been so squeaky clean. Mm-hmm. It's so far to one side of the spectrum. in terms of he is the most unlikely person that you would think would get up in the middle of a live television show like the Oscars. Like that's the epitome. That's where every actor is trying to get in his spot. All actors in the entire world is trying to get right there in that seat where he is. And he takes it and he blows it. So I think, oh, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that he's been so flawless that he makes one mistake. Why does he have to pay for it in this way? I think it's a little over the top. I think he's going to come out. Okay, maybe he made a billion, whatever you calculate. Would you say $100 million mistake? Maybe he made $100 million mistake, but I think he's gonna make that back and then some. The future is bright for Will Smith. Like when he made that apology, I was just like, maybe it's the black mama in me. And I was just like, oh, baby, it's okay. I'm still going to support you and watch your movies and still love you. Because if you think about it, white people make so much money off ignorant black people stuff that why should one little slap on a television, of which this man is, first of all, I just want to say I'm biased because I'm not a fan of Chris Rock at all. I think
you don't like Chris.
I'm not a fan of him. I don't know him personally, but I think he built his career off of making fun of black women. And so, I mean,
so you think he should have got slapped?
It just, for some reason, to watch it just made me feel good.
So you say I'm not saying he should have did it, but I understand.
I put that up on my Instagram, by the way.
Okay.
I did put that on my Instagram, and it got a lot of likes for me.
Okay, so let's just be clear. I don't see this as just one mistake. This ain't like he got arrested for DUI or he, had a domestic incident at home or he got caught stealing a candy bar. This was right on camera in front of the world. And so it was a bang. It's like the difference between a mistake is like, compare a mistake to like shooting off a shotgun. This wasn't a shotgun. This was a nuclear bomb. It was live in front of the world, and there was no way they could back away from it. At first, they could have played it off like it was a skit, like they could have been like because everybody thought it was a joke at first. But when he said, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth," and then he repeated it, and he said it like he was from the street. I can't remember. I think he's from North Philly. Like he said that in a North Philly kind of way, and I think that just kind of where he took the mask off. Now I'm not necessarily blaming him for that. Maybe there was something that he just needed to do. I understand that, but I think that where I would challenge him as if he and I were just two brothers talking, we're about the same age. I would say, okay, man, look, okay, maybe Chris needs to be slapped, and Lord knows you're Will Smith. You can slap people and probably get away with it. They didn't even arrest him or anything. They didn't make him leave the building, right?
That was tasteful. I'm glad they made that tasteful decision.
Well, yeah, but it was tasteful, but it led a lot of people to feel like there was a bias because he has this wealth and power and status. But at the same time, I would say, okay, man, look, if you're gonna slap Chris, you can probably get away with this. Just make sure you know what you're doing. No, like I think that I don't know about everybody else in here, but y'all have heard me talk about this before. I have a real issue with black men getting on their knees in front of the world and having to apologize.
What are you talking about? Why?
It bothers me because it reminds me of when Snoop Dogg. Remember when Snoop Dogg, went off on Gayle King for that?
Oh, he shouldn't have said
for what she said about Kobe, and then he said all these things that I didn't agree with. I thought what Snoop said was way out of line.
He should have apologized.
But that's the thing, though. To me, I felt like if you're gonna have to apologize for what you did, then don't do it. Be strategic.
He should not only apologize for that. There's a lot of things he should apologize for promoting drugs and alcohol to my children. Or he should apologize for some of the other stuff. Keep the apology going. Like, that's okay. But slapping someone is not okay. But it's okay to spew all this violence and drug use and all of these antisocial behaviors. That's okay.
Oh, well,
but don't is the end of your career. You can't end your career by promoting drugs, alcohol, reckless sex, reckless lifestyle to the public, and that's going to be a green light. But a slap for someone insulting your wife, that's a red light.
Okay.
Like, what's the
well, I think the well, I mean, let's just be clear. These apologies Snoop's apology was not an authentic apology. I don't think he was truly sorry. He was really apologizing to white people for offending them, for messing up his
He
contracts.
offended their
He was
lady. He offended their
well, he
lady.
was protecting his money. He was protecting, just like Nick Cannon. When Nick Cannon apologized for insulting the Jewish community, there was no debate as to whether or not Nick Cannon or Professor Griff's words were correct or not. Because remember, Nick Cannon interviewed Professor Griff and said something that the Jewish community got offended by. Well, again, my position is simple. My position is, if you're gonna do it, own it, stand on that, and think it through in advance, so that you're not constantly going through life cleaning up your own mistakes. And I get it. We all make mistakes. There's no question about it. Sometimes there are things we have to apologize for, but I just expected more in terms of strategic thinking. I really worried, like, okay, is he losing it? Because this is so counter to anything. I mean, think about this. Very few black men in Hollywood or anywhere else have built a brand like Will Smith. The only people who built a brand like his, where you watched it crumble right in front of you, the only other two guys that come to mind are Tiger Woods and Bill Cosby. Tiger Woods, Bill Cosby, and Will Smith are three guys that...
Ooh, you can't put them in the same category.
Well, I put them in the same category, not because their actions are equivalent. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, this is three examples of black men with pristine brands. Like, they were walking corporations. You see what I mean?
That's a good one.
They were walking corporations. Wow. They were trusted. Companies, McDonald's and Apple and Starbucks and Disney would do deals with them. They wouldn't do. Think about Disney and Starbucks wouldn't do a deal with me. They'd be like, "Oh, Boyce is a loose cannon. We don't know what the hell he might say something pro-black, and that'll throw everything off." Like, so I can't do that. People like me, brothers like me, don't fit. So when I see brothers that have been able to make the magic work, I feel bad for them, because I feel like they're in a cage. But at the same time, I'm impressed. I'm like, okay, wow, you really did that thing. Good for you. If that's the route you chose, protect that, right? And I think with Will, he didn't. That's the thing that disappointed me. So again, I'm rooting for Will. I love Will, man. I think Will ain't never gonna be broke. If he makes another movie. In fact, everybody, I'd like to ask y'all a question, and then I'm gonna be quiet and let Alicia share her thoughts. But if Will Smith made another movie right now, how many of you would see that movie? Give me a yes or no if you would see a Will Smith movie right now. I bet
everybody's saying yes, because he's $1 million. He's gonna get that $1 million and then some back.
Not a million,
or a bill, whatever.
$1 million.
Whatever number you came up with, he's gonna get that and then some. He will get it back. He's gonna bring a crowd to the screen. And you know what they should do? Here's what be the magic. Because the thing is that when you're an actor, you have to be in this space where you're creative. There's never a lose. Okay, and I like to study winners. And I think Will Smith is a winner. So I think it would be brilliant if he were to incorporate the slap into the new movie. Oh. If he were to say something, if he makes a reference, what you do to neutralize something that's been so negative, how you neutralize a negative thing that's been perceived as negative is that you make a joke about it. Mm. So the next movie he's in, if he's smart, he will make a joke about the slap. And what it does, it lightens the situation. And so hopefully, so that was the one thing I wanted to say. The next thing I wanted to say is you are spot on. I first was like disagreeing with you, but now I think you're spot on, because Will Smith is squeaky clean background. So here he is, this black man that is counter to what those images of black men are that are not so positive, right? He's the counter to that. Bill Cosby is the counter to the perfect father. Like, the Cosby Show, he was number one TV dad, like TV guy. He beat everybody out. He was the number one guy on television, father on television. Tiger Woods, it's like he could do no wrong. He has the excellent genetics or something. He could do no wrong. And to see all three of them fall from grace, it's almost like, in my mind, subconsciously, black men fell from grace.
Well,
that's subconsciously what it tells you.
And you know who else had another black man that had a squeaky clean brand that ended up just crumbling right before our eyes?
Who?
O.J. Simpson.
Oh my God!
I didn't mention
we
O.J.
Just erased him from
right. The thing is, I didn't mention O.J. because I think O.J. is in a whole nother category, right? Like O.J. I mean, almost like
fell from grace.
Like being accused of practically chopping your wife's head off. That is far heavier than a slap on Chris Rock. But here's the interesting thing. The common thread between O.J., Tiger, and Cosby is white women. Isn't that interesting?
Man.
Like all three of those guys got in serious trouble with something that involved a white woman. And now, Chris.
Now, guess what? Now, you just make a good point. That's another reason why I think Will Smith will be back on top, because he slapped a black man and defending his black wife. So maybe he's okay because he did things that are pretty sanctioned. So, it wasn't like it was like a catastrophe. The reason why I'm saying that, boys, is that right after the whole Oscars thing, I had a class session. And at the beginning, oh, by the way, I'm a college professor, and I teach basically a pretty good mixture of backgrounds, but mostly it's white women in my class. And I asked them about the slap. Not one white woman in that class had a real serious issue with the slap. They all still loved Will Smith. They all were still like, oh, that's pretty awful, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, all of them responded in a way that was really compassionate toward him. So if that's any sort of finger on the pulse of white America, maybe. But I think, like, for the most part, a lot of white people didn't really seem to have such outrage from what I'm seeing in my classroom.
Well, that's a good point. And by the way, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. We like to lay against our pillows and try to have intelligent conversations and fun conversations about things happening in the Black community. And we're glad you guys joined us. And by the way, I want to remind everybody that we're going to Detroit for the Black Wealth Builders Summit. And it's going to be hosted by Herb Strather and the Strather Academy. If you'd like to join us, Herb Strather and Gary Shelton have done over $1 billion in business deals. Dr. Ken Harris, the head of the Black Business League, will be there as well. If you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com. We're going to be there all weekend long, and you can come up and meet us in person and also learn a lot about wealth and things like that. And also, if you want to learn about what Dr. Alicia does, her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. That's right there on the screen. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done it yet. We're talking about Will Smith and his $100 million apology, and just, where he can go from here, and what can be done to redeem his image. I will say that, generally speaking, when you go back to that comparison with Will Smith, Bill Cosby, Tiger Woods, and even O.J. Simpson, you're right. The one defining factor, remember, Bill, Tiger, and OJ all got into serious trouble with white folks because they did something to a white woman. They hurt a white woman's feelings, or
and they never came back from
it. Or they, in Tiger's case, he hurt his wife's feelings because he was sleeping with those white women. With Bill Cosby, he was accused of things that, to be quite frank, were never really proven, but there were a lot of these stories out there. And then thirdly, with OJ, though, he, a lot of people think the brother really did kill his wife, but with Will, it's different, right? In all four of those cases, you had Black men who had built these stellar lily white brands that were really, where they were like walking corporations, and all those brands kind of got hit pretty hard. Will probably come away looking the best because you're right. Will did not hurt a white woman. He did not offend white women or white people. It was just some Black people stuff. Like a lot of brothers, like I'm 51, Will's 53, Chris Rock is 57. And I felt like as a 50-something-year-old Black man, I was able to have insights into that dynamic that a lot of people might not have been able to have. I was looking at that and saying, and I heard my brothers all talking about, like, yeah, if somebody disrespects your wife, you're supposed to slap them. And then some other guys saying, no, that was crazy. Like, why would you do that? and I remember sort of just feeling like, wow, this is interesting to see this very, very Black dynamic. I mean, it was an African-American dynamic. I mean, reflective of all the trauma we experienced. I mean, brothers, Black men, we can love each other into the ground, but we can also put each other under the dirt. Like I have several Black male friends who have been murdered by another Black man. I have several Black male friends who have been assaulted by other Black men. So this was traumatic for me because I said, man, I really felt that two successful, wealthy, millionaire Black men in their 50s could find a way to resolve their dispute without it going into violence, because young guys are watching us. We're the OGs now. And I just felt that they kind of shirked their responsibility a little bit by letting it get to that point. I get it. I understand wanting to slap somebody or whatever, but I don't want 25-year-old guys to think that violence is the best way to handle your situation with another black man, because guys get killed like that. Like a slap turns into a punch leads to a gun leads to a bullet in somebody's brain, and a lifelong prison sentence for somebody else. So for me, I saw this as much deeper than just, you said something about my wife, so I slapped you. So, the debate is about what you're allowed to say about my wife. No, the debate is, should black men be doing this? Can we change that generational curse?
As you were talking, I was thinking about the Jordan Peele movie about being a spectacle, because that movie was all about the spectacle. And if anything,
Nope.
that whole situation was a spectacle.
Yes, it was.
And no matter what it was, Will Smith stole the moment, and he stole the night. Like, everybody, no one was talking about anything. Everybody was just talking about him. And I'm sorry, the Oscars their ratings were sinking into the ground. No one watches lily white Oscars, but and I think like they added some flavor to it and made it into the highest rating.
It became the Source Awards.
We're thinking about the ratings now. It became one of the highest ratings in a long time. So the Oscars had a dilemma on their hand, and their prayers were answered.
Well, yeah, I mean, it became the Source Awards.
Yeah.
Remember the Source Awards back in '95 when guys were throwing chairs at each other's head? I mean, let's just be clear though, right? Like that's the weird thing about television, right? So the Oscars was trying to play a tough game. The tough game they're trying to play is they're trying to maintain their dignity in a world where it is a lack of dignity. It is the release of your dignity that gets you the most views and the most likes and the most shares. Like the intelligent black woman with lots of wonderful, thoughtful ideas will rarely have more Instagram followers than the lady who just shows her booty. And that's kind of how what the world has become. And it makes me sad because little girls, little children look at this and they say, okay, I get it. If I want attention, I gotta just get out here and act like a complete buffoon. And I would just say that so at the end of the day, you have to decide, how much of a price are you willing to pay to get that attention. And I think that the Oscars they're probably grappling with that, because you're right. It was I think that this was the highest rated Oscars that they've ever had. And so, there are probably some people in there saying, hey, was this really bad for us? I mean, we got the attention.
Advertisers are definitely licking their lips and rubbing their hands together like, oh yeah, we got eyes on our product.
Yeah.
Everybody turned it on. Everybody watched it. Everybody rewatched it. So the advertisers were like, and you saw ads.
Yes, you did. And
if I was in advertising, I'd be buying an ad from the Oscars.
Yeah, well, I especially if Will and Chris are gonna be there again.
They gonna be there. Let me get my ads.
Well, what I would love. Mm-hmm. I would love to see Will Smith and Chris Rock get together and do some sort of project together, even if it's something, a 2-minute YouTube video. Wouldn't that be beautiful? I mean, that to me would make me feel great. Because I know they have their issue and they have their beef, and I get it. I understand. It probably will never happen. But I just really think that would really mean a lot to the world, because something jolted my soul to see black on black male violence sort of being highlighted and glorified in that way. I just kind of think that the best way to deal with an enemy is to turn your enemy into a friend. I don't know if that's possible, though. I can imagine with Will and Jada. I mean, their marriage is complex. We know that. And, there's a lot of feelings being hurt and stuff like that. And Chris said some things that you can't really take back. But, I just really think, I think that what was hard was like when you have people like me who really admire both of those guys. I admire Will more than I admire Chris. And that's still true, actually. I still admire Will more than I admire Chris. But I admire Chris, too. It's funny. I met Chris Rock's brother also. Not the famous brother, not Tony. It was another brother. I can't remember his name, but he used to call me. I used to talk to Chris Rock's brother a lot, and I didn't talk to him as much as I talked to Will Smith's brother. But both of these guys come from good families, and they've accomplished a lot. And I think that they are reaching that stage in life where they're becoming these iconic, elder figures in the community. Not just in terms of Hollywood, but in the black community to some extent. And I just want to see them have their dignity. You're 50 something years old. You ain't got to handle business like you're 23 years old. That to me is what's sad about this.
I have a prediction. My prediction is that in one day in the future, Will Smith will be back in the graces of the Oscars, and I have a prediction that he will probably host the Oscars.
That would be heavy.
Not only will is he the winner of the? They didn't take the award away from him, did they? They didn't take it from him.
I don't think they took his Oscar away. What do y'all know? Did they take Will's Oscar?
He's off the good list, right? The good nigga list.
But he's not the good Negro anymore. But what did they take Will's Oscar, or did they let him keep it?
Maybe he's out of the. I don't know honestly, but I think he'll be back in good graces is what I'm trying to say, and I think it'll be just a beautiful moment when he is going to host the Oscars. The ratings will be high again. So if we're thinking about ratings and which I know a lot of people are, I think he has what it takes because he did this one thing. I think lay off of him. Let's have some compassion for Will Smith.
Yeah,
he had a tough year. His wife was talking about her, extramarital.
Let's be clear. Yeah, let's be clear.
To go through.
Well, let's talk about that, Jada. How many of y'all think Jada's out of pocket? I think I would be. I'll just say this. I'm not here to talk about Jada in a negative way, but my Lord Jesus, if my wife was talking like that in public, because remember, Jada talked about her addiction to porn. She then talks about sleeping with one of your children's friends. I'm not saying that people don't do what they gonna do and live the life they gonna live, but I don't think I'd want all that aired out on a TV show. I feel like they're sharing way too much, and I wouldn't be surprised if Will is not on board with any of this, because I think in Will's mind, I don't know, I'd be thinking, hey, we have $500 million in our net worth. Like, we don't have to do this. We don't have to do any of this to be famous anymore. We're famous already. I don't like it.
Table talk is like a labor of love for her. Like, it's something she feels like she has to pursue a project like this. For some reason, I don't know why. She feels like she really wants to have the spotlight on her daughter, herself, and her mom. Like a healing. There's some metaphysical sort of implications about a red table, but I won't dwell into that. But I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay.
The red table might mean.
Well, they talk about the red table like it's a person.
Yeah.
Like we're going to bring this to the red table to see what the red table has to say about this.
Mm-hmm. So they're evoking a red table. So, but I'll talk to you about it later. That's offline conversation. That's not online conversation.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll tell you this. Let me ask everybody in here. Give me an answer. Everybody answer this question. Do you forgive Will? Like, do you think he's worthy of being forgiven, or do you think that what he did was unforgivable? What do you think? Type forgiven or unforgivable in the chat. I vote for forgive because, as you mentioned earlier, we all make mistakes. And I think Will Smith has proven himself to be capable in a lot of different ways. I really never thought when Will Smith first started doing the Fresh Prince, and when he did the first Bad Boys movie and all that, I remember laughing and thinking, Will Smith he can't be an action movie hero. Like, what, this is silly. It made me think about when Bruce Willis first did his action movie, and I thought it was funny because remember before Bruce Willis ever did
in the comedy.
Yeah, before he did Die Hard, he did that show Moonlighting. So it looked silly that he was trying to make that transition, but I'll be damned if he didn't pull it off. I mean, he pulled it off, and so I admire people that make these amazing transitions. Like, even in track and field, Fred Curley, who's the world's fastest man, he was known for running the 400 meters, and he said, I want to run the 100 meters. And everybody was like, that's a joke. You can't run the 100 meters. And now Fred Curley is the world's fastest man. So to me, that speaks in that Gordon Parks tradition of just being who you want to be, and having the willpower, Will Smith power, if you want to call it that, right? Pun intended, right? Or the Willard power, to just go for it. So I think that we can be inspired by Will. I think that his goal, I get a sense that his goal is to inspire the world with the content that he does online, which I think is really, really good. And I'm hopeful also that Will consider doing a lot of heavy, high impact global work that impacts the Black community. Like, I'd love to see Will maybe take on the fight for reparations and some of these other issues that we talk about, which we know are legit. I mean, he's from North Philly. He knows Black people, or building Black businesses and all the things that we need to do as a community. So I think I don't want to throw Will out. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want Will Smith's brand to be protected. I want it to be restored. I want it to be respected. And I think that he's on the path to doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Will Smith reminds all of us that we are all limitless. Like, there's nothing that we can't do and nothing that we can't become, if we make the dedication to do it. And that people shouldn't put you in a box. People are just like, oh, Boyce, you're just all about finances and you should only talk about finances. Well, there's more to you than that. You have a lot more color than that.
Oh yeah, people always get surprised
I know,
on my when they follow me on my personal Instagram page. They'll be like, "Why are you posting this? You're supposed to post financial stuff." And I'll be like, "Well, you work at UPS, but you ain't always talking about packages. So stop that. Just stop it."
Oh, okay. Why you have to say that? But anyway, hats off to the UPS workers.
Yes, absolutely. That's a tough job. God bless you. Thank you.
Anyway, but you're more than a UPS worker. You're more than even Boyce Watkins. You're more than that. And so Will Smith putting on these different hats. I think what happened is that the Oscars and what that role represented. So he was playing the role of a father. And I just got the impression that he took that very seriously. Will Smith is the kind of person that I think that he puts his all into a project. So that project of doing that movie, and God knows what happened behind closed doors, because it wasn't a negative thing about that man throughout that whole movie. And so that movie was the epitome of really what the Black father is really about. He's restoring Bill Cosby in a sense. And I'm talking about subconsciously. That movie and his role in that movie and winning an Oscar in that movie was restoring the terrible legacy that the Bill Cosby, at this point has on our subconscious mind. So I'm thinking that he understood that, and he took it. That night was so important to him. He took it so seriously, and to have his friend get up there and talk mess about his wife. And when he understands subconsciously what hair is and all of these things, I think that he just got so pissed. And he had a moment where he probably wished he could take that back, but he was raw. In that moment, I felt like he was just raw, Will Smith, no filter, raw moment. So I look at Will Smith with compassion and understanding. I don't have such a hard stance against him that you do and some other people do. I can't for some reason I can't have
you can't have what?
I don't know what to say. Like,
you can't hold ill will toward him.
I already forgive him. Forgive him. It's almost like he didn't have to ask me for forgiveness for what he did. I got it. Like, in that moment, I understood why he slapped him. Like, I understood why he did it. I'm not saying that it was okay to do it. I'm definitely not supporting violence, but I totally understand why he did that, because this was a very important moment for him and his family and his legacy and the Black father. It was an important moment for Black fathers all over. And he had that speech written, and he just knew it was the top of his career. And that joke just was not well timed. That's all I can say.
All right, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. Alicia is a couples therapist, and if you'd like to learn more about what Dr. Alicia does with her couples, feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com, or you can follow her on Instagram at coachingwithdralicia. So do me a favor, everybody, if you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And I agree. I think that there's a lot of different perspectives we can have on this. I think that background and point of view is going to vary based on how you're looking at it, right? I think a Black woman is going to see it in one way. A Black man is going to see it in another way. And a younger Black man might see it in a different way. A white person is going to see it in a different way. So you have white people that are still running around saying that how traumatized they were. I think Amy Schumer was saying that it was traumatic to watch the violence, and they're gonna, a lot of them are probably gonna hold their position, against Will, because they see him as a typical violent Black man, that kind of thing. That's where that's where their racism comes out, right? Where they don't have the ability to even try to understand the nuances or whatever, because that dividing line that they used in their mind to separate Will Smith
Lord.
from other black men. Because remember, Will Smith in their mind was not a typical black man. He was their magical Negro.
Let
You
me
know,
tell you
again,
something.
but I'm just gonna say this. Like I talk to white people like Amy Schumer, and they don't view me the way they view a Will Smith because I talk about race and I'll talk about racism. I talk about white privilege, things like that. And I think that, when you have that magical Negro status, and you do something that says, "No, I'm not magical. I'm a black man too, and I have a lot in common with these guys." I think it shocks them. It doesn't shock me because we know you're playing the game. We know you're putting on the mask for the public, but it shocks them because they're like, "Wait a minute, I thought you were different."
No, let me tell you something. Nobody is more racist. Nobody is more violent than the movies that are put out in Hollywood today. Like, pick a movie. It's violent. It's psychopaths gone mad. It's like if you want to understand the psyche of a psychopath or even a sociopath, you can pick up a Hollywood movie on any day and understand it. Like, all their movies are violent or sexist or racist and all of those things. So they're promoting and spewing these movies out across the world for our children to see, for us to see, and then they have the nerve to like clutch their pearls and gasp when a little simple slap to me is shown. I mean, that's just the epitome of everything that they promote. So why don't they start promoting some more positivity in their movies if that's what they want to see in real life?
Mm. Well, I think you make a valid point. But what about the fact that a movie is just acting?
It ain't just
And this
acting.
is
It's not just acting. We all listen. Hollywood understands. If we don't understand, but Hollywood understands the power of your subconscious mind. They know that putting those images out, what it does to your psyche. They understand that. They understand that having things as a spectacle. Let me tell you, Jordan Peele was spot on with this movie, by the way. Nope. Having that spectacle, all the world's a stage, and so yeah, it could just be in acting. Will Smith could just be acting right now when he did that. That's the best performance of his life these past couple of months, maybe. He's been in hiding for 12 weeks now, 3 months, right? He's been in hiding and now he's coming out. And I hope we see more from Will Smith. Come on out. Don't be ashamed. I want Will Smith to hold your head up high. You did what you did. You apologized for it. I forgive you. And I know there's a lot of other black people and white people that also forgive you. Come on out, hold your head up high, and live your life.
Mm. Well, yeah, I think we can agree on that. I mean, he should live his life, and he
Yeah.
will. He's very successful. This isn't going to destroy his legacy, And I think that anybody who thought he was done, I think that you are sorely mistaken because I think Will is a guy that has shown that he's able to overcome adversity, and and this is a great challenge for him, And so I'd be curious to see how this plays out. This reminds me, there was a movie that was really good that I recommend. It was called The Best of Enemies, and it was from the 1960s, and it featured a series of debates between two guys that were very prominent in the 60s named Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley. And basically, they were kind of like the Donald Trump and Joe Biden of their time, but just smarter. They were smarter than Trump and Biden. And they both were these Ivy League educated guys who spoke like little British debutantes, with that little accent. But they were diametrically opposed in all their political views. And they had this series of debates on ABC. ABC at the time was a struggling network, and they showed these debates, and it literally took ABC over the top. It made them number one at the time. And at one point in the debate, Gore Vidal gets under William F. Buckley's skin so bad that Buckley just goes off and just cusses him out and says, if you call me that one more time, I'm gonna slap you in the goddamn face.
Good.
Right? And then he throws.
Talk the talk. You got to be able to accept the responsibility from the words you say that's hurtful.
Right. So here's what happened. Here's what happened though, and I recommend anybody watch it that's interested and wants to see a good movie. It's called The Best of Enemies, and it's really a great film. And what was interesting was to see the reaction of both men when Buckley lost it. Now remember, this is 1964, I think, on live TV. And you don't even cuss on live TV now, let alone back then. And so everybody's shocked. Millions of people are watching. And at that moment, Buckley realizes how he screwed up. He realizes that he let Vidal get under his skin. And Vidal is sitting there smirking. He's kind of smirking like, I got you. I got you to break rank. I got you to unfold in front of everybody. And you know what happened was at that moment, that was when the country declared that Gore Vidal had won that debate. And William F. Buckley got up and he walked out of he just literally walked off stage and walked out of the building, right on live TV in front of millions of people. And he said for years, like they said, for the rest of his life, he never got over that.
He was a spectacle. Here's another spectacle.
Well, the thing was though, it sort of speaks to this idea that even though you might have slapped somebody, you might be like, yeah, I got you. I went straight gorilla on you and I slapped you, I cussed you out, I went off on you. But there's another part of you that I think if you're strategic, you realize that's what they want you to do. They want you to make an ass out of yourself. They want you to throw away everything you've worked for just so you can prove a point. And basically, let's just be clear, act like, a Negroidian, if you want to call it. I'm not going to say the N word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. They want you to do that. So when a white guy starts saying racist things to you to kind of taunt you or calls you a name, and you go off and you say, oh, I'm going to lose my job today, I'm going to jail today. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, that you let them get you. You let them get you out of character, and you made them 10 times more relevant. Because remember, Chris Rock, Will Smith is going to recover from the economic damage of what happened to him. Chris Rock probably is going to make at least $100 million from the fact. Wait, listen, hold on. Okay. From the fact that he got one of the greatest actors in the world to literally ruin the best night of his life, and now everybody who thinks you have a hairpin temper is going to start taunting you to try to see if they can get you to come out of character and throw it all away.
Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes okay. you have to decide, like, hopefully, yeah, I think a reaction is never good, but at the same time, I also think that sometimes you're just like, you know what, but here's the line, you cross that line, and yeah, I did it, and whatever price I have to pay, I'll do it again. Like, there's some people who are just like, there are some things to them that's like, that's worth it.
But Will Smith isn't in that category though.
He don't know.
He didn't know. Well, that's true, right? So you're right. In that case, that would mean right. So that would mean that the apology was fake. If Will Smith truly feels that way, which that would actually but listen, but that would make more sense to me, right? It would make more sense to me if Will was like, you know what, I'm going to give this apology. I'm going to use every ounce of my acting skill to convince people that it's sincere. But between me, you, and the wall. No, I don't think. I think
just because you think it's worth it doesn't mean the apology is. He could say in that moment, I did what I did. But what is with this truck? In that moment, I did what I did. But, and I'm sorry for all of this, but it's worth it. I'm going around, but it's worth it. Some people would say that.
Well, you know what? I think that to me, that's the line of demarcation in terms of determining whether or not Will meant to do this or didn't mean to do this, or how he feels about it, right? I think that if you did it and you're glad you did it and you don't have any regrets, then either don't apologize or the apology was fake.
Well, you can apologize even though you're just like, listen, self-compassion tells us that you always doing the best you can in any moment. So in that moment, let's just assume that he did the best he could have done in that moment. Okay. But looking back on it, you can still apologize.
Okay. I get that. Okay. So let me ask you this. So if I do something terrible to you and I have no remorse at all, like if I did it and I would do it again, and then I go and I apologize to you sincerely and say, gosh, I'm really sorry I hurt you. I didn't mean to do it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, is that authentic or is that inauthentic, right? Is that apology a real apology? If I wouldn't change a thing, to me, an apology says, if I could do it over again, I would not have done that.
Well, regret. Okay, I can see that, regret. But I'm talking about it from a way where when you look back on something and you say, I feel guilty for what I did, but I still can deconstruct that experience and understand that I did the best that I could do in that moment and still apologize. I will still work to do my very best in the future. And I'm not above an apology, and I'm also not perfect, but it's also saying having that compassion and forgiveness for yourself, really, for the fact that you've done this. That's the real forgiveness, whether or not it's happening or not. So it is just feeling guilty, not shameful, but feeling guilty for what you've done.
Well, one thing that showed me, and by the way, you listen to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. If you could, everybody, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Our goal is to have intelligent and fun conversations about things happening in the Black community, particularly in the areas of love and money and everything in between. So if you like what you're hearing, we hope you'll subscribe. And if you want to follow Alicia on Instagram, you can go to at Coaching with Dr. Alicia, or you can check out her website at coachingwithdralicia.com, where she sees couples and all that other good stuff. So what's interesting to me is I could tell Will is doing a lot of work on himself through therapy, because he used that word shame that you're talking about. I think he said something like,
He said that?
Yeah, he said something like, I want to.
What are you doing? You keep straight right here.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
He said I'm expressing remorse without shame, and all this other stuff, right? So that kind of tells me that he had thought about, just sort of the exact way to kind of process this, that he's probably been sitting with his therapist. I wonder, with the apology, I'd be curious to know how much of this apology, like what was driving the whole apology, what was driving the strategy. I'm sure there was a strategy, right? There's a strategy like, okay, Will, don't post anything on social media for a while. And remember, it's interesting because Will Smith had his breakdown shortly before another prominent Black man had a breakdown online, which was Kanye West. And in both cases, Kanye and Will each stopped posting on social media. Like Kanye, if you go to Kanye's Instagram, Kanye was posting several times a day up until a Black man. He got into a confrontation with Noah, what's his face, that comedian from South Africa. I can't Noah, you know what I'm talking about. Noah, what's his last name?
Dang, I don't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah. He's so honestly, he's not relevant to me. But Noah, what's his name, confronted him, and that became kind of a thing. And next thing you know, Kanye's whole Instagram got clean, like it got wiped clean, like somebody took him down and they took it off the whatever. And again, though, but pay attention now, Kanye was in that category with OJ and not as violent, of course, but OJ, Cosby, and Tiger, where you offended a white woman, and they dealt with Kanye a little bit different, right? Kanye's whole Instagram got wiped. If you go to his Instagram now, a page where he used to post several times a day, he probably posts one thing a week now.
Yeah, but I like the Kardashians, but sometimes they offend Black people with how they behave. They offend Black women sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. But the thing that's interesting though is that typically when you have a Black man that's making a lot of money by selling something to mostly white people, it does become a thing when that side of his Black maleness comes out that makes people uncomfortable. Remember, at the end of the day, America historically has viewed the Black man as this angry, violent animal, which is completely opposite of history, because we know who the animals were. What it was, people that were hanging people from trees and putting us in prison and all these other things. Those were the animals, but we've been portrayed as the angry, violent animals, and they promote the music that perpetuates this image. So in both cases with Kanye and Will, you just saw this scenario where there's an explosion, and then there's this strategy, and it's like, okay, you're going to be quiet for a while, and then we're going to bring you back, and we're going to make you magical again, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because Will Smith and Kanye West, their music has nothing to do with gangster rap. Like, their music is so, at least Kanye West.
Well, Kanye's more of a musician than Will to me. I mean, Will wasn't bad. Will is okay, but Will, to me, I see Will as more of an actor. Kanye is a true artist, and Kanye just has range. He's not just, he can be ignorant, but then he can also be a thoughtful artist, and I respect that about him. But overall, what's interesting is that I'm just curious about the strategy, right? Like in both cases, you saw both of these guys get real quiet for a very long time, and then they came out, and I could see somebody saying to them, okay, when you come back out, you need to remind the world why they love you. Like, in fact, another example, R. Kelly, not to say that they're in the same category, they're not the same guy. We know this, right? R. Kelly, when he was originally accused of videotaping that crazy stuff with that little girl that he did way back in 2003, and I was done with R. Kelly at that point. I don't know why black people kept on.
That.
Yeah, I called you. I called you back then.
Yeah.
You and I were friends back then, and I said I'm done with this guy. I don't even know why black people support him. But anyway, R. Kelly goes on BET, and BET almost completely ignored the allegations. They celebrated him like they gave him almost the equivalent of a Best Actor award at the BET Awards that year, and so I remember when R. Kelly's first interview after the controversy on BET, he kept saying, just focus on my music. I want everybody to just focus on my music. And he said it, in my view, he said it like he had been coached to say that. Like he had been coached to say, look, when you are singing, that makes you magical. Just like a comedian is magical when he's telling jokes. A basketball player is magical when he's winning championships. So Tiger Woods knew he became magical when he could get the ball into the hole. That's what his father used to tell him. He said, son, don't worry about the controversies. Just get the ball into the hole and everything will work itself out. So I think with Will, what I see is him coming back and people strategizing to say, we got to make you magical again so that people will remember why they love you and forget why they don't love you right now.
Yeah, I think he'll be successful in that. And even like R. Kelly in that moment, that song "I Believe I Can Fly" was his biggest hit. Like they had that movie in the Olympics.
Wow.
Remember the Olympics featured?
Did that song come out after he got the recording of the little girl?
I don't know, but listen, it's not. He had always been preying on young women. Always. It didn't become an issue until the documentary came out. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
But so let's just say all that stuff was kind of lurking underneath, and everyone in Chicago knew how R. Kelly was. Like we all knew.
Yeah, they did.
We all knew the issues there. But that song, "I Believe I Can Fly," he wrote about Michael Jordan, and it was featured in the Olympics.
Well, we know R. Kelly and Michael Jordan were friends.
Mm-hmm. They were all friends, and so that was his crossover song. It was inspiring. It was his whole entire background, and his story was inspiring in a way, because R. Kelly came from absolutely nothing, like homeless on the street, singing on the streets of Chicago, homeless. I mean, it doesn't get any more rock bottom than that. So that whole thing was a little inspiring, but it's unfortunate that he's a pretty disturbed person. It seems as if that was going on with him. But yeah, he fell from grace too when he had this #1 hit song. His breakthrough hit song was "I Believe I Can Fly."
Yeah, well, I mean, I think R. Kelly, unfortunately, he needed psychiatric help a long time ago. He was surrounded by all these enablers that kind of just let him think that his behavior was okay. And I never thought it was okay, and it always bothered me. And again, and by the way, when I mentioned that who he was friends with or whatever, I don't think any of those people should be implicated, right? But I think at the same time, it's kind of like there's a lot in our community that I think translates to kind of what I've heard people even say about some of our families, where where a man will be doing some things that he should not be doing, involving little girls in the family or whatever the case may be, and there are people that protect him for whatever reason, right? And I just think that has to be dealt with, because if we love our girls, we have to keep them safe, So, but anyway, with that being said, though, I think with Will, and not to compare Will with R. Kelly, Lord Jesus, that's not even anywhere accurate. But in terms of talking about black men kind of falling from grace, I think if anybody can come back from this, it's Will. And I'm gonna kind of finish up on an economic thought on this. Will Smith has been absolutely masterful. Again, well, actually, if you want to contrast him with an R. Kelly, right? R. Kelly was a guy where when the heat got hot and his life got tough, he didn't have the financial wherewithal to really fight those battles. He'd made a lot of mistakes and a lot of bad choices. And when it came time to pay all those lawyers and paying off lawsuits, he wasn't in a position to do that. Whereas with Will Smith, you're looking at a guy who has been intelligent and masterful at building massive amounts of wealth for his family. He's got multiple streams of income that nobody knows about. Will Smith could be the most hated man on the planet, and he knows how to make. He can make $100 million year behind closed doors without you even knowing that he's connected to the project. And I think that type of insulation he created for himself is exactly why, like at the Oscars, would say to anybody out here, make intelligent, go on, his wealth and protect his assets. But I think also part of him probably realizes many of the things that we're talking about. That strategically speaking, this might not have been the best way to handle it. And I think Will gets that. What's your last words, Alicia?
Yeah, I would hope that Will Smith apologized because he sincerely feels guilty for what he's done. I would hope that the apology was not just a strategic thing. Like, don't apologize if it's only strategic. Like, keep your apology. if it's just a strategic thing where you're just trying to save your career, keep your apology, because there's nothing good that's going to happen from that. But if he honestly, because his whole life, from what I've seen and what I can interpret, his whole life has been transparent. So I would hope that he continues that, no matter where it leads him. It could lead him, as far as I'm concerned, economics is something totally that's going to be a byproduct of you being true to yourself. So I wouldn't do anything or make any move just because I feel like I'm going to make some money in it. I make my moves and I follow what I want to do every single day, with the words that come out of my mouth, with my actions, with my thoughts, to be true to who I am. And if I get money, then that's a beautiful byproduct of that. I want to be true to yourself. And I'm hoping that Will Smith is true to who he is in every move he makes, whether he wins or whether he loses financially. I think that at the end of it, he needs to be able to look himself in the mirror and say, I have integrity.
Well, I do think the integrity piece is very important. Now remember this though, when you talk about money, and that's kind of going into my zone a little bit, is on one hand, someone like a Will Smith has the freedom that money provides, right? He has the freedom to slap people and get away with it. He can do things and not apologize for it because he's so financially well off and he's in that sustained place. But the other thing too is, remember, he has a lot more money than you have or I have or anybody on this chat. And the reason that he has so much money is because he's always prioritized protecting the money and building the wealth and making moves to get the money, right? So it's a paradox, right? On one hand, you have enough money that you don't have to think about money, but the reason you have a lot of money is because money has always been a top priority in your decision making, right? So I don't know which one wins. I don't know. I mean, I've seen people that have $100 million who say, I made enough money, I'm free to do whatever I want, I don't care about the money. And then I've seen people with $100 million who are slaves to the money. Sometimes the money can make you a bigger slave than the opposite, right? So I'd be curious to see which one weighs out. I just wish him the best. I think Will is awesome, and I think I wish him, his family, the best. And I would just admit that I really hope that maybe they shift those red table talks, because everybody ain't got to know every ounce of your business. I think that there's healing that has to occur in private. I don't know if it all needs to be brought to the red table, but then again, who the hell am I? Why does my opinion matter anyway? All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining us for this Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to remind everybody, if you want a free e-copy, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking. If you'd like a free e-copy of that book, you can go to boyceandalicia.com. You can also get free training on drama-free relationships. Alicia has a nationwide database of single Black people that are looking to date quality Black people. I forgot to mention this. You can get on that database for free if you go to boyceandalicia.com. It's right there at the top. So feel free to click on that link. And we're going to do speed dating this year at the All Black National Convention. The All Black National Convention is going to happen in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. Oh, and you know what? You guys want to see the trailer? There's a cool little trailer we have for the convention. Would you guys like to see it? Actually, if you could, stay 1 second. I'd like to show you all the trailer because I'm super excited. You guys will be the first ones to see our trailer for this year's All Black National Convention. It's a gathering of all people throughout the world who are B1, Black first, who care about the community and want us to win. So let me share the trailer with you guys. I'll pop this in here. And then after that, I'm going to have to actually hang up because my phone's going to die pretty soon. So here we go. I'm going to share the trailer with you right now.
It's about how to empower Black people.
It's really encouraged me, revitalized and invigorated me.
It was a phenomenal experience to see young Black leaders and future leaders come together.
This is just amazing to see all of our people come together. And so many people have been able to learn a lot and also get education. It's such an amazing networking experience.
And it was just pure love, pure Black love. It's absolutely transformational.
There's the All Black National Convention. It's going to happen in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. If you'd like to get passes to join the convention, if you want to come there to learn, we're going to cover everything from stock market investing to crypto and everything in between to real estate. We're also going to give you opportunities to network with other like-minded people. You can start investment clubs with them. Alicia's going to do speed dating. So if you're looking to meet somebody nice, we have couples. One couple's going to get married soon. We're going to go to their wedding when Keisha Ravenel gets married. If you want to go there and learn and join our panels on politics, relationships, family. We even have a children's track because we believe deeply in educating the next generation. The convention is October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Sheraton. You can go to BoyceWatkins.com and take a look. This is our 7th convention. Everybody loves it, and I know you're going to love it too. So everybody, if you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. And we're going to come back a little bit later and talk a little bit about a lot of things happening in the community as well. And again, the best of luck to Will Smith and his family, and the best of luck to you. So God bless you. Go make money, build families, love each other, and we will be back again real soon. Take care now.
Bye, everyone.